Okay, at this stage we're going to take a small number again, questions from the public, and again there's still a time and opportunity for people there to text in questions. First question in here is a nice simple one for you, Sean. Are all the Green Acres farmers going to make money this year? Are they going to make a net profit? And I know it's not in this question, but I know from previous experience, it's don't talk about gross margin, talk about net margin or net profit.
Yeah, so last year, Pierce, we seen that the net margin across the average 12 farms was €80 per hectare, which, being honest, isn't where we need it to be. We're trying to target a net margin for these farms of €500 per hectare. I suppose we're in a position where livestock performance is going to increase. We're going to see output starting to climb this year as well, and we're going to see heavier carcass being produced at farm level. We've also had a relatively good year, except for maybe a shadow in the country or a corner in the country that were hit with drought in a way. But we've worked it in a way that the cost that went in to try and resolve this were very, very small. It was surplus bales that were taken earlier in the year that went in to resolve that. We are going to see the farmers' net profit improve this year. The degree to which that happens depends on what way beef prices stay for the rest of the year.
Okay. I suppose we can't let you off then, Nicky. You know, you've had a full cycle of the programme. Did Grange make money last year on the calves that were slaughtered at those weights and ages?
Yeah, so I suppose we did make some money. However, I don't think it really reflected the performance of the system. And I think what really hampered us was calf purchase price. 2018 was probably a very expensive calf. For our Angus's, we saw it there, they added €1 to our cost of production, their calf purchase price. And obviously beef price was very, very low. So that's why we saw our Holstein Friesians achieve the highest level of profitability, where they generated a net margin of €256. We saw then with our high index Angus that they generated a net margin of around €64 per hectare. And our lower index Angus, you could say that they broke even. They only generated a net margin of €3 per hectare.
So just on that then, what if I was 100% sure I had a high index Angus calf in front of me and a low index calf in front of me, what should the difference I be paying in purchase price for those calves?
Yeah, well look, it's very hard to say, and it's very hard to tell at 3 weeks of age without that genetic information on an animal. It's very hard to tell what his potential is. But
what kind of range could I be looking at?
The way I look at it is, for your early maturing beef calves, I wouldn't like to see any more than 40 to 50 cent added to your cost of production. And if he's a good quality calf, capable of delivering more carcass performance, you'll obviously get more for the calf, still at that 40 to 50 cent.
That's 40 50 cent per kilo of carcass.
Per kilo, yeah.
Okay.
So you can predict what carcass weight you think that animal will be from your set system.
Yeah.
And I think you can work back from that. But what we saw was 95 cent to €1 been added to some of our Angus calves, and I think that's far, far too high.
Okay, very good. Aidan, question in for you. Why didn't you finish the cattle before you joined the programme is the question.
Good question. It was a numbers game I was at that time. I was literally piling the cattle through the system, trying to create an income.
Okay.
And so that was basically it. There was a lot of good cattle being sold out off the farm, but not finished. I was working very hard, and I wasn't really achieving a sufficient margin to be at it.
Great. Okay, thanks, Aidan. Question for you, Sean. Are the calves in the Green Acres programme all genotyped at birth, and would that be a help for the future?
No, they're not, Pierce, and it would really, really eliminate the risk of buying in something that you didn't want to buy in terms of poor quality genetics or genetics that weren't going to work for the farmer system.
Okay.
Down the line, there is talks of calves being genotyped, but
is it something the farmers in the programme will be willing to pay for?
Like, should the onus be on the beef farmer to pay for a genotype, or should it be on the dairy farmer?
Okay, so maybe there's a discussion between both, that if they could come to an agreement. Is it something you'd be interested in, Aidan, if you knew you could genotype? Would you look at sharing the cost with your dairy farmer neighbours?
I most definitely would, yeah. Anything that increases the output from the animal for the input I'm putting in, anything that make a difference is a help.
Okay. We're going to need buy-in though, Pierce, from the dairy industry for that to happen as well.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to identify the poor performing calves on dairy farms straight away.
Okay. Nicky, have you any comments on that?
Yeah, so look, we identified our calves, the ICBF identified the herds that they were, the semen was used in of the bulls of interest. And we had a lot of information on the background, and we still ended up with 11% incorrect parentage on those animals. So there is animals there that aren't who they're meant to be. However, when you look at the €3 net margin per hectare from those low index Anguses, the cost of genotyping loaded on top of that, and it's too late at that stage to take any action. I think it's too late at that stage for the beef farmer to be getting that information. He's the calf bought, and I think we need to get more information on the cow herd, the bulls used on the herd, and on the calf in front of us at the time of purchase. So we really need it at an early stage and have it available. As soon as your BVD test is back, we'd need to be known that this calf is of such genetic potential.
Another question there for you, Aidan. Calf prices this spring, what you paid for calves this spring and what you paid last year. Did you see a difference in the calf prices that you had to pay? I know you're dealing with the same three farmers.
Yeah,
so I'm slightly different than people in the market.
I have paid less, slightly less this year as opposed to last year. The dairy farmers understood that. We haven't been making a lot of money over the last few years. Something had to give, so we did agree. I'm inclined to buy a flat rate, that certain price for Angus, certain price for Hereford and certain price for Frisian. The three farmers agree with my price and I agree with theirs, and we take it from
relationship.
Good relationship, yes, definitely.
Important. Yeah, in the programme itself, Sean, would you have seen, you'd have done quite a bit of analysis, I know, on calf prices from last year to this year. What differences were you seeing?
Yeah, basically Pierce, the Holstein Frisian calves this year came in at around €64 a head. Last year they came in at 90, so we did see a reduction. But in terms of where the beef price is, we didn't see a reduction. We didn't see a big enough reduction. And we seen that our Angus calves cost nearly double that. And just looking at the performance that the farmers got last year in terms of their Angus and their Whitehead cattle, it's first year results, and their animals, or their scope to actually improve the carcass weights. But if we were to look at the value of an Angus calf and a Hereford calf in comparison to the Frisian, for the 12 farmers we're working with, the farmers would only be paying €40 more. Okay. In some cases they're paying €110 more for the Angus and Hereford this year.
Okay. Another question in here on ventilation, and I'm going to show it to you, Nicky. How important is ventilation in sheds and controlling drafts? Is it in a calf to beef system?
Yeah, so it's everything, and we even see variation in some of the sheds that we have available to us here in Grange. We've Yorkshire boarding, using natural ventilation with the stack effect. Then we've some forced ventilation systems, and you see that they function differently depending on the weather conditions outside. But ventilation, stocking densities in those sheds are crucial. We find when we start weaning calves and getting them out of the shed, any of our problems nearly disappear. So we would see some challenge, when temperatures are fluctuating with a highly stocked shed. We do incur some problems. And
is there anything you can do in a shed to improve the ventilation apart from Yorkshire boarding?
Yeah, so look, you need to assess the ventilation in there, make corrective actions, put in the appropriate ventilation, but the stock and density of the calves is one of the obvious ones that you have full control over. Grouping the calves as well, maybe keeping uniform groups of calves from similar sources and not be mixing and remixing groups as you're receiving intakes of calves throughout the season.
Okay, great, Nicky. Thanks for that, and thanks to Aidan, and thanks for Sean for all that. That's very interesting. Really, at this stage, we're going to have to bring this evening's Live at Grange to a close. And just to thank our panel and to thank Siobhan from earlier on. So we really heard a lot today in our virtual beef week about the whole calf to beef area. We had a huge amount on social media, and our beef talk this morning. At this stage, I want to just thank a few people. First of all, I want to thank our panel this evening, Siobhan Ring from ICBF from earlier on, Aidan Maguire. I want to thank Nicky Byrne, and I want to thank Sean Cummins. I also want to thank just the production team that was involved here today in terms of putting all this together. So I particularly want to thank Declan McCardle from Teagasc and Martin de Burgh from AgriLand, and all of their colleagues that are working on the programme. I also just want to thank the organisers of the day. There's different people that are organising the day in terms of the social media posts that are going up throughout the day, and the organisers of that are Nicky Byrne that's here with us, but also Alan Dillon on that. Tomorrow, the Teagasc Virtual Beef Week is Wednesday, moving on to sustainable beef production and what does that mean for the beef farmer, but also the wider industry. So again, no different than earlier today and yesterday, we have quite a large number of social media posts and videos going out on the topic tomorrow on the whole area of sustainable beef. We have our beef talk in the morning at 12 midday, and we'll be once again here in live at Grange tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock for a panel discussion to talk about the whole area of sustainable beef production. So with that, I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for viewing in, and we wish you good night and goodbye from Grange.